Hello and welcome back to the Chart Wrap by True Options Masters. I am Mike Merson, your managing editor, and rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Yeah, there were some stomach goblins that invaded me last week, and I couldn't put together my favorite part of the week. Hopefully your favorite part of the week, the Chart Wrap. But we're back, we're feeling good, we're feeling healthy. It is Christmas Day, and to be honest, I hope you're not watching this video, and I hope you're enjoying your Christmas. But if it's after Christmas, I hope you're watching it. Not just watching it, but liking, subscribing, commenting, notification bell-ing, if that is your thing. A lot of ings. But let's get past these ings. We have other things to get to, namely our charts. Let's get right to it, folks. So we had an interesting kind of grab bag of charts this week. I tend to stick to the major indexes, but I wanted to do something a little different, just with all the Omicron weirdness, and start to think of some outside the box charts. So I was digging around and I found this ETF away. This is the ETFMG Travel Tech ETF. And what this does is it tracks a bunch of not just travel related companies, but sort of techie travel related companies. So things like Uber, Airbnb, and the like. And what we can see is this thing has been just utterly decimated this year. Let's see, where is it trading today? 30% lower than its all-time high, which it set in March of this year. So the year has not been terribly kind to these techie travel companies. And what we can also see is this has got to be probably an all-time low market timing achievement for this travel tech ETF, because it launched February 13th, 2020. The travel tech ETF launched right before the pandemic crash. I apologize if you hear some buzzing in the background. They are cutting the lawn in my neighborhood, and there's nothing I could do about that aside from wait a painfully long amount of time and drive my video team crazy. So we're just going to talk through it. It shouldn't be too bad. But let's look at this chart. So this is an ugly chart, but there are signs of life popping up on this chart that's making it kind of attractive to me. I spotted this downside wedge pattern earlier in the week, observing that, it was the 20th that we first looked at this chart, so it was trading down around here. I figure if it can break up out of this thing and take out this level here, this 2458 level, we potentially have a trend change happening with the travel tech ETF here. And there's some other backup for this. We have positive divergence on the RSI indicator. We have positive divergence on the MACD indicator. We have bullish cross on the MACD indicator. All this coupled with a downside wedge breakout, which these falling wedges tend to be very, very bullish if we break out of these. And there's a lot of evidence to support that the travel tech stocks are going to trend higher. That's good news for ARK Invest, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, or Cathie Wood having a really tough year, but definitely doubling down on her tech investments. Though there are some reasons to be cautious. The stochastic RSI, which I've just recently sort of started playing with, is at about as overbought a level as it's been all year. Oh, my cat's going to start moving. Pardon that as well. Hopefully she doesn't start meowing. So that should also give you some pause. This is not something to throw your life savings into, obviously. This is something you want to trade. I wish I had bought call options on this one when I wrote Chart of the Day, because obviously it's performed very, very well this week. But this is definitely one to watch as we go through the rest of the holiday season. Chad is obviously bullish on stocks, as is Mike. We're hoping the Santa Claus rally will take stocks higher. Oh boy. We love my cat. She could be a real pain in the butt sometimes, but we love her. Hopefully she doesn't get too loud for us. All right, let's move right along to the next thing we looked at this week, which was gold. Oh, poor gold investors. So I was getting really excited about this breakout in gold, which we saw a little bit, maybe a couple weeks ago. We noticed that we said gold investors were showing up. They definitely were. They were trying to break this downtrend, but we met this downtrend resistance, this a little bit more short-term resistance, came all the way back down, but just retested this rising support once again. And where are we today? We're back over 1800. We're back over this huge resistance hurdle. And let's see where the momentum's at. Bullish cross on the MACD. RSI is pretty neutral. Not much to talk about there. And the stochastic's getting close to overbought, but not quite. So what's the next move gold needs to make? It needs to break this blue line. Let's take it to a weekly chart, just so it makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, we need to clear this blue line, not with a big old panic candle like we saw here, a panic buy candle for the record. And then even better would be to break this next white downtrending resistance. So I'm going to keep an eye on this for us. Gold really should be catching a bid here. I mean, it's been a big inflation year. And it really just seems that, heck, Bitcoin has stolen the whole show when it comes to inflation and crypto, and stocks for that matter. So hopefully gold investors can catch a little bit of love from Santa potentially this over these next couple weeks, but we shall see. So speaking of Bitcoin, been definitely watching Bitcoin lately because speaking about rumors of death being greatly exaggerated, am I right? So let's kill the stochastic RSI on this one real quick and just see what we can see on the Bitcoin chart. So I've been noting these divergences, namely. I don't know why all my white lines got deleted, but that's okay. TradingView, we will deal with it. You can see that whenever the price action diverges from the RSIs, that's a pretty good indicator of tops and bottoms. I lost my line there. And we see this going all the way through this year. So when Bitcoin was topping back in April and May, we had lower highs on the RSI while the price was making higher highs. That essentially meant momentum was weakening. And we're seeing it today as well. I'll just point out this last one, as Bitcoin was just crumbling during summer, we had higher highs on the RSI. And then as during the initial recovery, lower highs, took a little dip. We had a very minor divergence here where the Bitcoin price was essentially flat, but the RSI was picking up. That signaled the run to the nearest highs where we topped out at 69K, another divergence down. And now what do we see but positive divergence on the RSI, crumbling Bitcoin price action, and just an update, just to update where we were looking at this chart a few days ago, we've broken the fairly short-term downtrending resistance that is this yellow line, and it looks like we came back in to retest it and are bouncing off of it today. So is Bitcoin at a bottom? You know, you could do a lot worse buying Bitcoin here, certainly. I'm not comfortable enough to say it's at a definitive bottom and we're going to see new highs in the next few months. My foamy mouthed, rabid price predictions for Bitcoin, I remember a few months ago, I was saying, oh yeah, you should start selling Bitcoin at 100K. Obviously that didn't work out. So I'm trying to be a little bit more measured. Kitty, stop with the itching, would you? Try to be a little bit more measured with my Bitcoin predictions. So I don't think we're going to see 100K before the end of the year, which is what things like the stock to flow model were predicting. I think you need to be a little bit more measured with Bitcoin. I do think it's going to trend higher over time. There's no evidence to suggest that it won't. It's a scarce asset, a digital scarce asset, and it's gotten a lot of attention. It really hit the mainstream this year. This was kind of Bitcoin's year. So you want to keep an eye on Bitcoin. If you don't own it, down at these levels, it sounds crazy, but now's a pretty good time to own some as well. So just keep DCAing into Bitcoin would be my guidance, and don't get too crazy with price predictions. If you see people predicting 100, 200, 300K Bitcoin in the next few months, just take a step back, take a more measured approach. Let's look at ARK. So ARK was the last chart we looked at this week. ARK Invest had quite a bizarre year. So Cathie Wood is the main investor behind this firm, or this fund. She is unapologetically bullish on what she calls innovation companies. Some of the top holdings in her portfolio are things like Tesla, Teladoc, companies like this. What you might notice if you're watching these charts is that these stocks have been decimated this year after huge runs up. And so her ARK Innovation ETF is really no different. If you want to take a look at like how it was performing from November of 2020 to March, it had a 77% rise. But now it's down almost 40% from its high. So that was quite a volatile year for these innovation stocks. Now, I think we might be nearing a bottom with these innovation stocks. And here's why. We have a very, very long-term divergence on the MACD, where we have a lower low and kind of a, I take that back. That's actually about, it's extremely oversold. But it's about as oversold as it was back in June during the summer. And we're having a bullish cross that's starting to take it higher. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to go to the moon immediately. It has 2 downtrending resistances and some horizontal resistance to get through. I think it's more likely to kind of trade in this channel throughout 2022. But there are definitely worse bets. If you're trying to get long some innovation stocks right now, these levels are very attractive. We do have a divergence on the RSI, where momentum is picking up, even as the price made a slightly lower low. If we're looking at the daily candle closes, not necessarily the wicks. But yeah, I think innovation looks good. It had a tough year. It definitely deserves to go a little bit higher. And it looks like it's ready to catch a bid, so bet appropriately. Again, this is not one to throw your whole life savings into. That would be quite foolhardy. Maybe if you're really young and you can afford to do such things with your money, that could be an interesting speculation, but I would always suggest small position sizes, especially if you're using options on speculations like this. Speaking of options, Mike Carr and I are working on something very interesting with Bitcoin. When I say Mike Carr and I mean mostly Mike Carr. But he's developing a trading system that takes advantage of Bitcoin options by using the new Bitcoin ETF, BITO. This is the futures-backed ETF. It is optionable. And I can give you a little taste of it right now. Mike's system has been short Bitcoin essentially from like 54K. It might even be a little higher. So at the bottom of that trade, he would have captured a 15%, 16% downside move in Bitcoin. And if he was playing that with options, as you know, that's even more exciting. So we're going to keep working on this, and we're going to think about a way to roll it out to you. And we'll definitely be testing some trades out in True Options Masters if and when they come. Well, when they come in the future, especially if Bitcoin's going to mount a rally here soon. We're probably going to get a long signal anytime now. That is going to do it for Chart Wrap this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, however you celebrate, and we'll be back to you next week.